Chapter 1. The Spark of Desire. Why Wealth Begins in the Mind. Imagine a cold, dark night in the mountains. A traveler stumbles into a tiny cabin, chilled to the bone, searching for warmth. He sees a fireplace, but no fire. In the corner sits a pile of logs, strong and heavy. The man shouts at the fireplace, "Give me heat, then I'll give you wood." But of course the fireplace stays cold and silent. The truth is obvious: heat never comes until the firewood is placed inside, until the spark is struck, until the flames are fed. Wealth, success, and abundance are no different. Life will never hand us prosperity before we first offer our own firewood, our own desire, faith, and determination. Pause and ask yourself, what is the firewood in my life? What am I truly willing to place on the fire to ignite the life I dream of? The origin of every fortune. Behind every empire, every invention, every work of genius, there is one starting point: desire. Not casual wishing, not idle daydreaming. Desire so sharp it cuts through doubt. Desire so fierce it refuses to die even when everything else says, "This is impossible." History is filled with proof. Think of the Wright brothers, who refused to accept that man was chained to the earth. Or Thomas Edison, who failed over 1,000 times before perfecting the light bulb. These men weren't just talented or lucky. They were fueled by burning desire, a hunger that made failure only a temporary visitor. And let's bring it closer to you. Look at your own life. Every breakthrough you've ever had, whether big or small, started with desire. The desire to graduate, the desire to land that first job, the desire to improve yourself in some way. Desire is the seed from which wealth grows. But here's the catch. A seed must be planted, watered, and cared for. Left on the shelf, it dies. Pause for reflection. What is the one seed of desire I've left on the shelf too long? And what would happen if I chose to plant it today? Why most people fail to ignite the fire? If desire is so powerful, why do so many people live lives of quiet struggle? Why do they settle for less than they're capable of? The answer is simple. Most people mistake wishing for desiring. A wish is like a passing breeze. It comes and goes with the mood of the day. A true desire burns like a steady flame. It doesn't vanish when obstacles appear. It grows stronger. Many also make the fatal mistake of waiting for permission. They think they need the economy to improve, their boss to approve, or the world to somehow align in their favor. But waiting for external permission is like that traveler demanding heat before offering firewood. Life doesn't work that way. Success begins only when you declare, "I will, not I wish." So let me challenge you. Pause and ask yourself, am I living on wishes or am I living on desire? From desire to decision. A burning desire on its own is powerful, but it becomes unstoppable when translated into a decision. Decisions are bridges between thought and action. Without them, desire remains trapped as energy, never materialized into results. Think of a young athlete dreaming of becoming a champion. Desire alone isn't enough. But the day he truly decides to train every morning at 5 a.m., to eat with discipline, to study the best in the game, that is the day his dream begins to take form. The same applies to your financial life. You may say, "I want to be wealthy." But until that desire hardens into a decision, "I will save this much each month. I will learn this new skill. I will build this business." Your fire never becomes a flame. Here's a practical exercise. Tonight, write down the single greatest financial or life desire you hold. Then, beneath it, write, "I will achieve this. I will pay the price. I will not quit until I succeed." Read it daily, morning and night. That simple act transforms wish into decision, decision into habit, habit into destiny. The magnetic power of burning desire. Now let's talk about something fascinating. When your desire burns bright enough, it doesn't just change you. It changes the world around you. It magnetizes opportunities, people, and ideas toward you. Haven't you noticed? When you truly commit to something, suddenly resources appear. A mentor shows up. A chance encounter opens a door. This isn't coincidence. It's the invisible law of focus and attraction. The mind, when consumed by a single dominant desire, begins to notice things it ignored before. It's like when you decide to buy a new car, you suddenly start seeing that exact car everywhere on the road. It was always there, but your mind wasn't tuned in. That's the secret. Burning desire tunes your mind into the frequency of wealth. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what is my mind currently tuned to? Scarcity or abundance? Excuses or solutions? Your assignment for this chapter. If you're serious about igniting your fire, here's your first step. Write down your top 3 desires: financial, personal, or spiritual. Then choose one, just one, and commit to it fully. Say it aloud every day. Picture it as though it were already real. And act in ways, no matter how small, that move you toward it daily. Remember, the world does not respond to wishes. It responds to the steady heat of a burning desire. Closing thoughts. The traveler in the mountain cabin never got warm until he placed wood on the fire. Likewise, life will not hand you riches until you first give it your desire, your decision, your effort. This is the first forgotten rule of wealth. All riches begin with desire. So as we move deeper into this journey together, let this be your foundation. Without desire, every other principle falls flat. With desire, every other principle becomes alive. Pause, reflect, and write it down. And before you click away, remember this is just chapter 1. Many more secrets are waiting ahead. If this message resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments, give this video a like, and subscribe so you never miss the next chapter in this life-changing series. Because the fire you light today could be the spark that changes everything tomorrow. Chapter 2. Faith as Fuel. Believing before seeing. Picture a builder standing before an empty field. There is no house, no bricks, no roof, only dirt, wind, and the sound of passing birds. Yet in his mind, he already walks through the halls of the home. He can see the walls rising, the rooms filled with laughter, the lights glowing at night. That vision, invisible to everyone else, is faith. Faith is the ability to see the unseen, to believe in what has not yet materialized, and to act as though it already exists. Without faith, desire burns out like a match in the rain. With faith, desire becomes unstoppable. Pause and ask yourself, do I believe deeply enough in my dreams that I can see them even when no one else can? Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Every great achievement begins twice. First in the mind, then in the world. Faith is the bridge between the two. When you set a desire in your heart, faith tells you, yes, this is possible. It silences the doubters, both inside and outside of you. It convinces you to keep moving, even when the evidence hasn't yet shown up. Think of the pioneers who crossed oceans to discover new lands. They didn't have GPS, satellites, or certainty. What they carried was faith, the belief that something better awaited beyond the horizon. Faith is not blind. Faith is vision. It is clarity, held with such conviction that it bends reality toward it. Pause for reflection. Where in my life am I waiting to see proof before I believe? And how would my path change if I chose to believe first? Why faith matters in wealth money is not just numbers on a screen. Wealth is created by ideas, persistence, and action. But behind all of those stands faith. Think of an entrepreneur starting a business. In the beginning, there are no profits, no guarantees. Friends may whisper doubts. The market may look uncertain. Without faith, that entrepreneur gives up after the first setback. With faith, they push through, adjust, learn, and eventually succeed. Faith fuels persistence. It gives you the strength to show up when others quit. It keeps you moving when results are invisible. In your financial journey, you will face setbacks, investments that don't go as planned, opportunities that fall through, days when doubt whispers louder than hope. Faith is the fuel that keeps your engine running in those seasons. The science of belief. Modern psychology confirms what ancient wisdom taught. Belief shapes reality. The brain does not clearly distinguish between imagination and reality. When you believe something strongly, your subconscious mind works tirelessly to align your actions, choices, and awareness with that belief. This is why affirmations, visualization, and self-talk are so powerful. They aren't magic. They are methods of programming your mind to accept your dream as real, long before it becomes visible. Have you ever noticed how confident people seem to attract opportunities? It's not luck. It's faith expressed through certainty. Their belief influences their posture, their words, their decisions, and others respond to that energy. Pause and reflect. What am I programming into my mind daily? Faith in abundance or fear of lack? How to strengthen faith. Faith is not something you're simply born with. It is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows with use. Here are 3 practical ways to strengthen it. Affirmation. Speak your desire aloud daily, as though it were already true. For example, I am financially free. I create value and abundance flows to me. At first it may feel awkward, but repetition carves belief into your subconscious. Visualization. Each morning, close your eyes and vividly imagine living your desire. Feel the emotions of already having it. If your goal is financial freedom, picture the relief of paying off debts, the joy of traveling, the pride of helping your family. Emotion fuels belief. Action in the face of doubt. Faith grows not by waiting for certainty, but by moving despite uncertainty. Every time you act in alignment with your desire, your faith deepens. Stories of faith in action. Consider Colonel Sanders, founder of KFC. At age 65, broke and rejected, he traveled across America pitching his chicken recipe. Over 1,000 people told him no. But his faith in his recipe kept him going until one person finally said yes. Today, his vision feeds millions worldwide. Or think of Oprah Winfrey, who grew up in poverty, abused, and told she would never succeed. Faith in her voice, her vision, and her worth carried her from the poorest beginnings to global influence. These stories remind us, circumstances don't define destiny. Faith does. Pause for reflection. Am I letting my circumstances dictate my belief? Or am I letting my belief dictate my circumstances? Faith turns fear into fuel. Wherever faith is absent, fear takes its place. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of loss. These fears whisper, what if you're not enough? What if you fail? What if others laugh? But here's the truth. Faith and fear cannot live in the same house. One will always push the other out. When you choose faith, fear loses power. The same energy that fuels fear imagination of the worst can be redirected to faith imagination of the best. Next time fear speaks, answer it with faith. Yes, I might fail, but I might succeed. And if I persist, I will. Your assignment for this chapter. Tonight, write down one desire you hold that currently feels out of reach. Beneath it, write an affirmation of faith, such as, this is possible. I am capable. I believe before I see. Say it aloud each morning and night for the next 30 days. Watch how your confidence and actions begin to shift. Closing thoughts. Faith is the invisible fuel behind every visible success. Without it, desire flickers out. With it, desire burns brighter until the world can no longer deny it. So let me leave you with this. Believe first, see second, act always. Pause and ask yourself, am I ready to let faith not fear, fuel my journey? And before you go, don't forget, if this chapter inspired you, hit the like button, share your reflections in the comments, and subscribe so you won't miss the next lesson on your path to wealth and freedom. Because tomorrow, we'll uncover the third principle, the power of definite purpose, your wealth compass. Chapter 3. The power of definite purpose, your wealth compass. Imagine setting sail on a vast ocean with no compass, no map, and no destination. The waves would carry you wherever they pleased. Some days, you might drift close to land. Other days, you'd be lost in endless waters. Without direction, every effort is wasted. Life without a definite purpose is the same. You can work hard, stay busy, even appear successful. But if you don't know where you're headed, you'll drift endlessly. The third rule of wealth is simple but powerful. Success demands a definite purpose. Pause and ask yourself, am I steering my ship with intention, or am I drifting wherever the current takes me? Why purpose matters. Purpose gives meaning to effort. It sharpens focus. It eliminates distractions. Without it, people waste years chasing things that don't truly matter, always busy but rarely fulfilled. Think of the difference between a magnifying glass and the sun. The sun spreads its rays everywhere, but a magnifying glass focuses them into a single point. That focused energy can ignite a fire. The same is true of your purpose. Focused desire burns hotter than scattered wishes. When you define your purpose, life takes on clarity. Decisions become easier. Does this move me toward my purpose or away from it? If it doesn't serve your compass, you simply don't need it. The tragedy of drift. Many people live by default instead of design. They drift into jobs because they need the paycheck. They drift into lifestyles because everyone else does it. They drift into mediocrity because it's easier than choosing something greater. But drifting is dangerous. It steals time, the one resource you can never replace. Pause for reflection. Where in my life am I drifting instead of deciding? What has it already cost me, and what more will it cost if I don't change? How to define your definite purpose. Defining purpose is not about perfection. It's about clarity. You don't need to have every detail worked out today, but you must know the direction. Here are 5 steps to sharpen your compass. Ask the big question. What do I truly want? Not what society expects, not what my parents hoped, not what looks impressive, but what I deeply desire. Identify the why. Purpose without reason is weak. Ask, why do I want this? What will it bring to my life and the lives of others? Make it specific. Vague goals, like I want to be successful, never inspire action. Specific goals like I want to earn $100,000 a year while helping people solve problems I care about, create a clear target. Write it down. A purpose unwritten is a wish. Write your definite purpose in a sentence. This act alone separates dreamers from doers. Repeat it daily. Read your purpose aloud every morning and night. This isn't ritual, it's programming. The more you declare it, the more your subconscious aligns with it. The magnetic pull of purpose. When you know your definite purpose, something remarkable happens. The world starts arranging itself in your favor. People call this luck, but it's really clarity at work. A clear purpose draws mentors, opportunities, and resources. Why? Because people are drawn to those who know where they're going. No one wants to follow a drifting ship, but they will gladly join a captain who sails with conviction. Pause and ask yourself, if someone looked at my life today, would they see a drifting boat or a captain steering with confidence? Stories of purpose in action. Think of Steve Jobs. His definite purpose wasn't just to build computers, it was to put a dent in the universe by merging technology and art. That purpose guided every Apple product, and it still shapes the world today. Or consider Malala Yousafzai, who as a young girl decided her purpose was to fight for education, even when extremists threatened her life. That definite purpose carried her from a small village to the world stage as a Nobel Prize winner. Closer to home, reflect on your own experiences. Remember the times you succeeded? Chances are you had a clear goal in mind. Remember the times you felt lost? Chances are your purpose was undefined. Purpose and wealth. You might ask, but how does this relate to money? The answer is simple. Wealth follows clarity. If your purpose is unclear, you'll chase random opportunities, spreading your energy thin. But when your purpose is definite, money flows as a byproduct of your focus. For example, if your purpose is to create a business that helps people eat healthier, money comes not because you chased dollars, but because you served your purpose so well that others gladly paid for it. This is the paradox. Those who chase money rarely find it. Those who chase purpose often find both money and fulfillment. Pause and reflect. Am I chasing money, or am I pursuing purpose that attracts money as a result? Your assignment for this chapter. Here's your exercise. Tonight, take 15 minutes to write a definite purpose statement. Keep it short and clear. For example, my definite purpose is to achieve financial freedom by building a business that empowers others. My definite purpose is to become a skilled investor who creates generational wealth for my family. My definite purpose is to grow in wisdom and share knowledge that changes lives. Whatever it is, make it yours. Then commit to reading it aloud twice daily, morning and night for the next 30 days. Closing thoughts. Definite purpose is the compass of wealth. Without it, you drift, wasting time and energy. With it, every action points toward your dream. The third rule of wealth is clear. Know your purpose, declare it, and follow it relentlessly. Pause and ask yourself one final question. If I had the courage to choose my true purpose today, how different would my life look a year from now? And before you go, if this chapter sparked clarity in you, don't forget to hit like, share your purpose statement in the comments, and subscribe for the next chapter. Because up next, we'll unlock the hidden key that programs your inner voice for success. Auto-suggestion. Reprogramming the inner voice. Chapter 4. Auto-suggestion. Reprogramming the inner voice. Have you ever noticed the constant voice inside your head? The one that comments on everything you do, everything you plan, and everything you dream about? That voice can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. When it says, "You can't do this, you're not good enough. Success is for other people, not you," it becomes a prison guard, locking you inside limitations. But when it says, "You are capable, you are resourceful, you are destined for more," it becomes a coach, urging you toward victory. Here's the truth. That inner voice can be trained, and the method is called auto-suggestion. Pause and ask yourself, what does my inner voice sound like most of the time? A critic or a coach? What is auto-suggestion? Auto-suggestion is the practice of deliberately feeding your mind the thoughts you want it to believe until your subconscious accepts them as truth. It is the art of planting seeds into the soil of your mind, seeds that eventually grow into action, habit, and destiny. Think of your mind as a garden. If you leave it unattended, weeds of doubt, fear, and negativity grow on their own. Autosuggestion is the act of planting roses, fruit trees, and strong oaks on purpose. You cannot stop weeds from appearing, but you can choose what dominates the garden. This is why successful people guard their thoughts carefully. They know that repeated self-talk, whether positive or negative, shapes the subconscious, which in turn shapes their entire life. Why autosuggestion works. The subconscious mind does not argue, reason, or question. It accepts repeated input as fact. That's why children believe whatever they hear often enough. Tell a child every day that they are loved, and they grow confident. Tell them they are worthless, and they may carry that wound for life. As adults, the same rule applies. If you continually tell yourself you're unlucky, broke, or not smart enough, your subconscious locks onto that identity and creates behaviors to match it. But if you repeatedly affirm abundance, resilience, and success, your subconscious begins guiding you toward those outcomes. It's not magic, it's psychology. Pause and reflect. What story have I been telling myself for years, and how has it shaped my reality? The cycle of belief. Here's the cycle. Your thoughts create beliefs. Your beliefs shape your actions. Your actions produce results. Your results reinforce your thoughts. If your thoughts are negative, the cycle traps you in failure. But if your thoughts are empowering, the cycle propels you into success. Autosuggestion allows you to break destructive cycles and create new ones. How to practice autosuggestion. Let's turn this into action. Here are practical steps to begin reprogramming your inner voice. Write your desire in present tense. Phrase it as though it is already real. For example, I am financially free. I am confident, disciplined, and unstoppable. I attract opportunities that align with my purpose. Read it aloud. Twice daily. Morning and night, speak your affirmations with emotion. The feeling behind the words is what convinces your subconscious. Visualize as you speak. Don't just say the words, see them. Picture the life you are declaring. Feel the emotions of already living it. Guard against negativity. Words are seeds. Don't cancel your affirmations by complaining or speaking fear throughout the day. Persist until belief takes root. At first, your mind may resist, saying, "This isn't true." But if you persist, repetition overrides doubt. Pause and ask yourself, what 3 affirmations could I begin declaring today to reshape my inner voice? The power of repetition. Consider how advertising works. Why do companies spend billions repeating the same slogan and jingle? Because repetition plants their message into your subconscious until you recall it automatically. Autosuggestion works the same way. You are advertising your desired future to yourself. The more often you repeat it, the more naturally your mind accepts it. This is why athletes, speakers, and leaders often use mantras before performing. They are conditioning their subconscious to align with success. Stories of autosuggestion in action. Jim Carrey, the famous actor, once wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered. At the time, he was broke, but he carried that check in his wallet, reminding himself daily of his belief. Years later, he received a movie contract worth, yes, $10 million. Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest boxers in history, repeatedly declared, "I am the greatest." Long before the world believed it, he programmed his subconscious to accept it. His words became his destiny. These aren't coincidences. They are examples of autosuggestion at work. Pause for reflection. What words am I declaring daily, consciously or unconsciously, that are shaping my future? Overcoming negative programming. Let's be honest, most people's inner voice has been programmed by negativity. Family, media, teachers, even friends often feed limiting beliefs. Money is hard to get. People like us don't succeed. Be realistic. But you are not condemned to live by old programming. Autosuggestion is your reset button. It allows you to erase limiting beliefs and install empowering ones. Start small. Replace "I can't" with "I will learn." Replace "I'm broke" with "I'm building wealth." Replace "This is too hard" with "I am strong enough." Over time, these shifts rewrite your subconscious identity. Your assignment for this chapter. Tonight, write 3 powerful affirmations that align with your definite purpose. Speak them aloud morning and night for 30 days. As you do, notice how your confidence, choices, and opportunities begin to shift. Here's an example. Desire. Financial freedom. Affirmation. I am disciplined and wealthy. Money flows to me because I create massive value. Do this faithfully, and you will be stunned by how your subconscious begins guiding you toward fulfillment. Closing thoughts. Your inner voice is always speaking. The question is, who trained it? The world with its doubts and fears, or you with your vision and faith? Autosuggestion puts you back in charge. It turns your mind into your ally instead of your enemy. And once your subconscious believes, your reality must follow. Pause and ask yourself, am I ready to become the author of my inner dialogue instead of a prisoner of it? And before you go, don't forget to like this video, drop a comment with one affirmation you'll begin today, and subscribe for the next chapter. Because up next, we'll uncover a principle that transforms knowledge into wealth. Specialized knowledge. Turning skills into gold. Chapter 5. Specialized knowledge. Turning skills into gold. There's a common myth that knowledge itself is power. But if that were true, libraries would be filled with millionaires, and every college graduate would be financially free. The truth is sharper. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when it is organized, applied, and directed toward a clear purpose. And not just any knowledge, specialized knowledge. Pause and ask yourself, am I relying on general knowledge, or have I begun building specialized knowledge that sets me apart? The difference between general and specialized knowledge. General knowledge is broad. It's what we all receive in school: history, math, science, literature. It's useful, but it rarely leads to wealth on its own. Specialized knowledge, however, is narrow and deep. It is knowledge focused on solving specific problems, creating specific value, or serving a specific audience. Think of a doctor. While many people know basic first aid, few can perform surgery. That specialized knowledge commands higher value. Or consider an investor who deeply understands real estate markets. While most people know houses can appreciate, the specialist knows where, when, and how to buy. Specialized knowledge transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Why specialized knowledge creates wealth. Money flows toward value, and value flows from solving problems. Specialized knowledge gives you the tools to solve problems in ways that others cannot. Take Henry Ford, for example. He didn't know everything about engineering or finance. In fact, critics mocked him for his lack of general knowledge, but he surrounded himself with people who had specialized knowledge in engines, assembly lines, and business management. Ford's genius wasn't knowing everything. It was organizing specialized knowledge to create affordable cars. Pause and reflect. What problem do I want to solve in the world, and what specialized knowledge will I need to do it? The trap of general knowledge. The world is filled with people holding degrees, certifications, and credentials they never use. They worked hard for knowledge that sits dormant because it was never specialized or directed. This isn't to say education doesn't matter, it does. But in today's world, information is abundant. What matters is not how much you know, but how useful your knowledge is to solving real problems. In other words, don't just learn more, learn specifically. How to gain specialized knowledge. There are more paths to specialized knowledge today than ever before. You don't need to wait for a university to hand it to you. Here are a few. Self-education. Books, online courses, podcasts, and mentorships can give you depth in nearly any field. The key is focus. Don't dabble-dig deep. Apprenticeship. Find someone already succeeding in what you want to master. Offer value to them in exchange for learning. Experience. Knowledge becomes specialized when tested. Take small steps in your chosen field, learn from failures, and adjust. Collaboration. Remember, you don't need to hold all the specialized knowledge yourself. Partner with those who do. Pause and ask yourself, if I could master one specialized skill in the next 3 years, what would it be? The power of continuous learning. Specialized knowledge is not a one-time achievement. The world changes. Industries shift. Technology evolves. What makes you valuable today may be irrelevant tomorrow unless you keep growing. Look at Warren Buffett. Even as one of the wealthiest men alive, he still spends hours each day reading, studying, and refining his knowledge. That commitment to lifelong learning is why his specialized expertise in investing remains unmatched. Pause for reflection. Am I treating my growth as a one-time event or as a lifelong journey? Stories of specialized knowledge in action. Consider J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter. Millions of people dream of writing, but she immersed herself in the craft of storytelling, character development, and world building. Her specialized knowledge of storytelling turned into billions of dollars and a cultural phenomenon. Or think of Elon Musk. While many people know basic physics or economics, Musk dives deeply into rocket science, energy systems, and software engineering. That specialized blend allows him to build companies in industries most people wouldn't dare touch. The lesson is clear. Those who dedicate themselves to a field, mastering its details, can turn that knowledge into influence, impact, and wealth. Wealth is organized knowledge. Remember, specialized knowledge alone is not enough. It must be organized, directed, and acted upon. That's why many brilliant people remain broke. They hold knowledge, but lack purpose or execution. Knowledge without purpose is like gold buried underground. It has value, but until you dig it up and put it to use, it benefits no one. Pause and ask yourself, am I sitting on buried gold? What knowledge do I have that I haven't yet applied? Your assignment for this chapter. Tonight, make 2 lists. What specialized knowledge do I already have? Skills, experiences, insights, or talents others might find valuable. What specialized knowledge do I need to gain? The missing piece that could unlock new opportunities for me. Then commit to a plan. Choose one area of growth and invest at least 30 minutes each day in deepening that knowledge. Books, podcasts, practice. It doesn't matter how, as long as it's focused. Closing thoughts. Wealth doesn't reward general knowledge. It rewards focused, applied, specialized knowledge. When you identify your purpose and pair it with the right expertise, you become unstoppable. The 5th rule of wealth is this: specialized knowledge turns effort into gold. Pause and ask yourself one last question. If I dedicated the next 3 years to mastering one specialized skill, how would my life change forever? And before you go, don't forget to hit like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you never miss the upcoming chapters. Because next, we'll unlock a principle that brings creativity to life. Imagination, the workshop of riches. Chapter 6. Imagination, the workshop of riches. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture the chair you're sitting on, the phone or computer in front of you, the house or building around you. Every one of these things was once invisible, an idea in someone's mind. Before they existed in reality, they existed in imagination. This is the truth most people forget. Everything begins in the mind's workshop. Wealth is not first created in banks, businesses, or stock markets. It is created in imagination. Pause and ask yourself, what pictures have I been painting in my imagination riches or limitations? The 2 forms of imagination. Imagination comes in 2 forms: synthetic imagination and creative imagination. Synthetic imagination is when you rearrange old ideas into new forms. For example, combining the concept of a phone and a camera gave us smartphones. Creative imagination is when new ideas seem to come from nowhere. Flashes of inspiration, intuition, or sudden vision. This is the realm where invention and genius often live. Both are powerful, both can be trained, and both are essential in building wealth. Think of Walt Disney, who stood in the middle of a swamp in Florida and imagined Disney World before a single brick was laid. Or think of Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx, who imagined a world where women had better undergarments and turned a $5,000 idea into a billion-dollar company. Imagination was their workshop of riches. Why imagination matters in wealth. The world does not reward effort alone. It rewards solutions, and solutions are born from imagination. Anyone can work hard, but those who imagine better systems, better products, better investments, those are the ones who create wealth. This is why so many people remain stuck. They work tirelessly, but they never stop to ask, what if? How could this be done differently? What's a better way? They are trapped in routine when riches require imagination. Pause for reflection. When was the last time I gave myself permission to dream without limits? Training the imagination. Contrary to what many believe, imagination is not only for artists or inventors, it is a skill that can be trained, like a muscle. Here are 3 ways to sharpen it. Practice what if. Thinking. Ask yourself, what if this problem could be solved? What if there were no limits? What if I could design life on my terms? Don't censor your ideas, let them flow. Expose yourself to new inputs. Read widely, travel, meet new people. Imagination thrives on variety. The more raw material your mind has, the more connections it can make. Create quiet space. Today's world is noisy. Phones, notifications, constant distraction. But imagination needs silence. Schedule time to sit, think, and let your mind wander. Some of the best ideas in history were born in moments of solitude. From imagination to action. Dreaming is powerful, but without action, imagination is fantasy. The key is to capture your ideas and test them. Keep a notebook or digital journal of every idea. Most will seem small or silly, but hidden among them will be sparks of gold. Then, choose one idea and take a small step. Test it. Adjust it. Build momentum. Remember, imagination alone doesn't create wealth, applied imagination does. Pause and ask yourself, what idea have I ignored because I thought it was too small or unrealistic? Could it actually be the seed of something great? Stories of imagination at work. Consider Jeff Bezos, who imagined selling books online at a time when few believed in the internet. That imaginative leap became Amazon. Or consider Colonel Sanders, who imagined his chicken recipe not just feeding his town, but the whole world. His idea came late in life, but imagination doesn't retire. It remains a tool as long as you choose to use it. Even everyday people use imagination to change their lives. A single mother imagines a better way to budget, turning her family's finances around. A young worker imagines a new side business, creating freedom. Imagination is not reserved for the elite. It's available to all. Overcoming fear of imagination. Why don't more people use imagination? Fear. Fear of being unrealistic. Fear of looking foolish. Fear of failure. Society often punishes dreamers, labeling them crazy until their ideas succeed. But history proves that every breakthrough begins as an idea someone else called impossible. So the choice is yours. Will you silence your imagination with fear or fuel it with courage? Pause and reflect. What dream have I buried because someone once laughed at it? Your assignment for this chapter. Set aside 20 minutes this week for pure imagination. Take a blank page and write down 10 what-if ideas, without judging them. They could be about money, business, relationships, or life in general. For example, what if I started an online business teaching a skill I know? What if I moved to a new city for opportunity? What if I invested in learning something that doubled my income potential? After writing, pick the one that excites you most. Commit to exploring it further. Closing thoughts. Imagination is the invisible workshop where wealth is first built. Without it, you are limited to what already exists. With it, you can create new realities. The 6th rule of wealth is this: imagination transforms desire into design, and design into destiny. Pause and ask yourself, am I living inside the limits of today, or am I imagining the possibilities of tomorrow? And as always, if this chapter gave you value, click like, share your favorite what-if idea in the comments, and subscribe so you won't miss what comes next. Because in Chapter 7, we'll move from imagination to execution. Organized planning. Building the blueprint of success. Chapter 7. Organized planning. Building the blueprint of success. Imagine a man standing in an open field with bricks, cement, wood, and tools scattered around him. He has everything needed to build a house, yet without a blueprint, the materials remain a pile of chaos. He could work for years, stacking and unstacking, but without a plan, the house never stands. Wealth works the same way. You may have desire, faith, knowledge, and imagination, but unless those forces are organized into a plan, they remain scattered energy. The seventh rule of wealth is this: success demands organized planning. Pause and ask yourself, am I building my dreams with a blueprint, or am I just stacking bricks, hoping a house appears? Why planning matters. A plan is not just a list. It is a roadmap that transforms vision into action. Without it, you may drift, waste energy, and give up when obstacles appear. With it, you have direction, structure, and clarity. Think of planning as the difference between wandering aimlessly and traveling with a GPS. The GPS doesn't eliminate traffic, storms, or detours, but it keeps you heading toward your destination. The myth of perfect plans. One of the biggest reasons people never act is that they wait for a perfect plan. But perfect plans don't exist. The world changes too quickly. What matters is not perfection, but motion. A good plan executed today beats a perfect plan delayed forever. And remember this: plans are flexible. They can be adjusted, rewritten, and refined as you learn. Pause for reflection. Am I delaying my dream because I'm waiting for perfect conditions? The essentials of an organized plan. So what makes a plan powerful? Here are 5 essentials. Clarity of purpose. Every plan must serve your definite purpose. If it doesn't move you closer to your goal, remove it. Step-by-step breakdown. Break your big vision into smaller, manageable actions. A mountain is climbed one step at a time. Deadlines. A plan without deadlines is just a wish. Deadlines create urgency and momentum. Flexibility. Allow room for change. Obstacles will come. Adaptability keeps your plan alive. Measurement. Track progress. What gets measured improves. Pause and ask yourself, do I have a plan, or do I have a vague wish list? Collaboration in planning. Here's another truth. The best plans are rarely created alone. Great leaders surround themselves with people who bring insights, skills, and experiences they lack. This is where the mastermind principle, which we'll explore fully in a later chapter, becomes vital. A strong plan is built not just from your mind, but from the combined wisdom of others. Henry Ford didn't design every part of his assembly line. He gathered engineers, managers, and innovators who could contribute specialized knowledge. His genius was not doing everything himself. It was organizing others into a unified plan. Why most people fail at planning? It's not that people don't plan. It's that they confuse planning with wishing. They jot down vague notes like, "I'll be rich someday," or "I'll start a business." But there are no steps, no deadlines, no structure. Others fall into the trap of endless planning without action. They write and rewrite strategies, always preparing but never starting. This is the illusion of productivity motion without progress. Remember, planning is the middle step between imagination and execution. Don't get stuck there. Pause for reflection. Am I using planning as a bridge to action, or as an excuse to avoid action? Stories of organized planning. Think of Elon Musk. Whether building rockets, cars, or solar technology, his teams don't just imagine, they map every detail into stages, prototypes, and timelines. Those plans may shift, but they always move forward. Or consider Oprah Winfrey. She didn't stumble into becoming a media mogul. She organized her career into phases: television, production, network ownership, philanthropy. Each stage built upon the previous one, guided by intentional planning. Even athletes succeed through planning. A champion sprinter doesn't just run randomly. Training schedules, nutrition, rest, and performance goals are all planned and tracked. That's why their results surpass casual runners. Turning dreams into action. Here's the golden formula: dream, plan, action, adjustment. Dream fuels desire. Plan structures the dream. Action brings it into reality. Adjustment ensures resilience when setbacks come. If you stop at the dream, you live in fantasy. If you stop at the plan, you live in theory. But if you act on a plan and adjust along the way, you live in achievement. Pause and reflect. Where have I stopped short dreaming, planning, or acting? Your assignment for this chapter. Tonight, take one desire you've written in earlier chapters and create a simple, organized plan. Write the goal. Be specific. The first 3 steps. Keep them small and doable. Deadline. When will you complete each step? Resources needed. What skills, people, or tools will you need? How to measure success. Define how you'll know it's working. Don't overthink it. Begin messy if you must. You can refine later. Closing thoughts. Plans are the blueprints of wealth. They don't guarantee success, but without them, failure is almost certain. The 7th rule of wealth is this: organize your vision into a plan and then move on it relentlessly. Pause and ask yourself, if I created one clear, organized plan today, how different could my life look a year from now? And before you go, don't forget, like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you never miss what's ahead, because next we'll reveal the principle that separates the wealthy from the wishful. Decision, the master key of the successful. Chapter 8. Decision, the master key of the successful. Picture 2 people standing at a crossroads. One stares at the paths ahead, endlessly weighing pros and cons, worrying about which way might be safer. Hours pass, then days, then years. The other takes a deep breath, chooses a road, and begins walking. Which one do you think arrives at a destination? The difference between dreamers and doers is not intelligence, resources, or luck. It is decision. The 8th rule of wealth is this: successful people make decisions quickly and firmly. Unsuccessful people postpone, hesitate, and drift. Pause and ask yourself, am I living as the decisive traveler or the hesitant wanderer? Why decision is the master key. Desire fuels your dream. Faith sustains your belief. Planning charts your course. But decision is the moment you cross the line between thought and action. It is the spark that ignites motion. Without decision, every other principle remains potential. With decision, your future begins shaping itself immediately. Think about it. How many lives are wasted because people simply couldn't decide? They wanted to start a business, but never decided. They wanted to invest, but never decided. They wanted to write, travel, love, or change. But hesitation kept them stuck. The graveyard is full of unmade decisions. The cost of indecision. Indecision is not neutral. It costs time, energy, and opportunities. Opportunities rarely wait for endless pondering. While you hesitate, someone else decides, acts, and claims the reward. Indecision also breeds doubt. The longer you delay, the louder fear becomes. What once seemed possible shrinks into impossibility. Inaction calcifies into regret. Pause for reflection. What opportunities have I lost because I failed to decide in time? How successful people decide. Study any person of wealth or influence, and you'll find this pattern. They decide quickly and change slowly, if at all. They do not allow endless debate, public opinion, or fear to paralyze them. This does not mean they act recklessly. They gather enough information to make an informed choice, but then they act. Once committed, they stay the course until experience teaches them otherwise. Unsuccessful people do the opposite. They take forever to decide, then change their minds at the first sign of resistance. They live in a cycle of hesitation and retreat. Pause and ask yourself, do I stand firm in my decisions, or do I crumble at the first pushback? Stories of decisive leaders. Think of Alexander the Great. At just 20 years old, he decided to continue his father's vision of conquering Persia. That single decision altered the course of history. Or consider Jeff Bezos, who in 1994 decided to leave his secure Wall Street job to start an online bookstore. Many thought it was foolish. Today, that decision is called Amazon. Even personal lives are shaped by decision. How many marriages, friendships, or opportunities were lost not because of bad intentions, but because someone failed to decide? Fear, the enemy of decision. Why do most people struggle to decide? Fear. Fear of making the wrong choice. Fear of judgment. Fear of failure. But here's the paradox. Indecision guarantees failure. A wrong decision can be corrected, but no decision leads nowhere. Action creates feedback. Feedback creates learning. Learning creates success. Successful people understand this. They would rather fail fast and adjust than never try at all. Pause and reflect. What fear is keeping me from making a decision I already know I need to make? How to strengthen your decision-making. Muscle. Decision is like a muscle. It grows stronger with use. Here are 3 ways to practice. Start small. Begin by making quick choices in daily life. What to eat, what to wear, how to spend the next hour. Train yourself to choose without hesitation. Limit information overload. Many delay decisions because they drown in research. Gather enough facts to act, but don't wait for 100% certainty. Commit fully. Once you decide, act with conviction. Half decisions create half results. Pause and ask yourself, what small decision could I make today to start building my confidence? Decision and wealth. Money loves speed. Opportunities in business, investing, and growth rarely stay open forever. Those who decide swiftly and act boldly seize rewards. Those who hesitate often look back and regret. Think of real estate investors. When a property with great potential hits the market, it's the decisive buyer who wins, not the one who spends weeks debating. Or think of entrepreneurs who spot a trend. The ones who decide fast often become pioneers. The hesitant arrive too late. This doesn't mean rushing blindly. It means cultivating a habit of informed, confident decision-making. Your assignment for this chapter. Identify one decision you've been postponing. Something you already know you should do. Write it down, set a deadline within the next 48 hours, and commit to making it. It could be starting a savings plan, reaching out to a mentor, launching a side project, or ending a toxic habit. Whatever it is, decide and act. Closing thoughts. Indecision kills dreams faster than failure ever will. The 8th rule of wealth is this. Decide quickly, stand firmly, and let your actions carve the path forward. Pause and ask yourself, if I chose decisiveness today, how different could my life look 6 months from now? And before you click away, don't forget, hit like, share the decision you're committing to in the comments, and subscribe so you never miss the chapters ahead. Because in Chapter 9, we'll uncover the iron law that sustains all success. Persistence, the iron law of wealth. Chapter 9. Persistence, the iron law of wealth. Imagine a miner digging through rock. Day after day, swing after swing, he chips away, but finds nothing. Tired and discouraged, he quits. What he never knew is that just 3 feet further lay a vein of gold that could have changed his life forever. That story is not a metaphor, it actually happened. And it illustrates a truth we must never forget. The difference between success and failure is often persistence. The 9th rule of wealth is this. Riches flow to those who refuse to quit. Pause and ask yourself, where in my life have I stopped 3 feet from gold? Why persistence is the iron law. Desire sparks the dream. Faith fuels belief. Plans give direction. Decision sets you in motion. But persistence is what carries you through storms, setbacks, and delays. Without persistence, even the best ideas wither. With persistence, even ordinary ideas can bloom into extraordinary results. Think of Thomas Edison. He tested thousands of materials before inventing the light bulb. When asked why he didn't quit after so many failures, he said, "I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That mindset is persistence in action. Why people quit. If persistence is so powerful, why do so few people practice it? Because persistence is hard. It demands stamina when the results are invisible. It demands courage when others doubt you. It demands resilience when failure knocks at the door. Most people quit for 3 reasons. Impatience. They want quick results and give up when progress is slow. Fear. They believe setbacks mean it's not meant to be. Lack of purpose. Without a strong why, persistence feels pointless. Pause for reflection. Am I quitting because it's truly impossible or because it's uncomfortable? Persistence in wealth. Money doesn't grow overnight. Investments take time. Businesses take years to flourish. Skills take decades to master. Persistence is the iron law because time rewards only those who endure. Consider the investor who saves and invests steadily for decades, even when markets crash. While others panic and quit, persistence rewards them with compounding growth. Or the entrepreneur who keeps testing, adjusting, and improving while competitors give up. Their persistence eventually wins markets. Wealth is rarely about brilliance. More often, it's about endurance. Building the habit of persistence. Persistence is not a trait some are born with. It is a habit anyone can build. Here are 3 keys. Tie persistence to purpose. If your goal is shallow, you'll quit easily. But if your goal is tied to family, freedom, or a deep calling, quitting feels impossible. Expect resistance. Don't be surprised by obstacles. Plan for them. Each setback is part of the process, not proof you should stop. Create accountability. Share your goals with someone who will push you when you feel like quitting. Persistence grows stronger in community. Pause and ask yourself, who could I invite into my journey to help me persist when I feel weak? Stories of persistence. Colonel Sanders, at age 65, drove across America pitching his fried chicken recipe. Over 1,000 restaurants said no. He persisted until one said yes. Today, KFC feeds millions daily. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first television job and told she wasn't fit for TV. She persisted, and her influence now spans the globe. J.K. Rowling was rejected by a dozen publishers before Harry Potter was accepted. Her persistence created one of the most successful book series in history. Each of these people had plenty of reasons to quit. But persistence carried them where talent alone could not. Overcoming the pain of persistence. Let's be honest, persistence is painful. You will face days when nothing seems to work. Times when you question if your effort is worth it. Moments when the temptation to quit feels overwhelming. Here's the secret. On those days, shrink your focus. Don't worry about finishing the marathon. Just take the next step. Persistence isn't about massive victories every day. It's about refusing to stop, one step at a time. Remember, rivers carve through mountains not because of strength, but because of persistence. Pause for reflection. What next step could I take today, even if it's small, to keep my momentum alive? Persistence versus stubbornness. There's a difference between persistence and blind stubbornness. Persistence means adapting, learning, and adjusting while moving forward. Stubbornness means refusing to change even when evidence shows a better way. Persistence asks, how else can I try? Stubbornness insists, this is the only way. True persistence is flexible, it bends, but it never breaks. Your assignment for this chapter. Think of one area in your life where you quit too soon. Write it down. Then ask, if I gave this a second chance, what would persistence look like? Next, choose one current goal and set a no-quit commitment. Decide in advance that you will not give up until you've given it at least 100 focused attempts, 12 months of effort, or whatever standard forces you to endure beyond comfort. Closing thoughts. Persistence is the iron law because nothing worth achieving comes without resistance. The 9th rule of wealth is this. If you persist long enough, the world has no choice but to yield. Pause and ask yourself one last question. Am I willing to keep swinging, even when the gold lies just 3 feet away? And before you go, remember to like this video, share a time you persisted, or wish you had, in the comments, and subscribe so you won't miss the next chapter. Because in Chapter 10, we'll explore a principle that multiplies your persistence and power. The Mastermind Principle. Strength in Unity. Chapter 10. The Mastermind Principle. Strength in Unity. Imagine 2 horses pulling a heavy load. Alone, each horse can pull about 8,000 pounds. But when yoked together, they don't pull just 16,000 pounds. They can pull nearly 24,000. Why? Because combined effort multiplies strength. The same principle applies to wealth and success. Alone, your energy is limited. But when you unite your mind with others in harmony, you tap into a force far greater than yourself. This is the power of the mastermind. The 10th rule of wealth is this: success multiplies when you align with the right minds. Pause and ask yourself, who am I walking with, and are they pulling me forward or holding me back? What is the mastermind principle? The mastermind principle is the coordination of knowledge, energy, and purpose between 2 or more people in harmony. It is not just teamwork, it is synergy. Together, people generate ideas, solutions, and energy that none of them could have created alone. Think of it as tuning forks. When one vibrates, the other resonates in harmony. In a mastermind group, your mind vibrates at a higher frequency simply by being around other driven minds. Why you need a mastermind? No one succeeds alone. Every great achievement is built on networks, partnerships, and support. Henry Ford had a circle of advisors who helped him turn ideas into industry. Thomas Edison worked with skilled assistants who refined his inventions. Even modern billionaires like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger credit their success to their partnership. The world is too complex for any one person to master everything. You need others to fill your gaps, challenge your blind spots, and inspire your persistence. Pause and reflect. Am I trying to carry a mountain alone when I could climb it faster with others? Choosing the right people. Not all associations are equal. Some relationships drain, distract, and discourage. Others energize, inspire, and multiply. To harness the mastermind principle, you must choose carefully. Look for people who share values. Harmony matters. Conflict destroys synergy. Bring complementary skills. Don't just surround yourself with clones. Diversity of strengths creates power. Push you higher. The right people don't let you settle. They challenge you to grow. Remember, the quality of your circle determines the altitude of your life. Pause for reflection. Do my current relationships reflect the future I want, or the past I've outgrown? How to build a mastermind. You don't need a room full of billionaires to start. Begin simply. Find 1 or 2 like-minded people. Look for those with ambition, vision, and persistence. Meet consistently, weekly or monthly. Gather to discuss goals, progress, and challenges. Be honest and accountable. Share openly, hold each other to commitments, and celebrate progress. Stay in harmony. Disagreements happen, but never let ego poison the group. Over time, your mastermind can expand. But even 2 people aligned in purpose can achieve miracles. Stories of the mastermind in action. Consider the Wright brothers. They didn't invent flight alone. They were a mastermind. 2 brothers, harmonized in purpose, combining knowledge, testing, and persistence until humanity took to the skies. Or think of Apple's origins. Steve Jobs had vision and marketing genius. Steve Wozniak had engineering brilliance. Separately, their gifts might have faded. Together, they sparked a revolution. Even in personal growth, masterminds matter. A group of ordinary people encouraging one another in business, fitness, or faith often achieve far more than those who struggle in isolation. The dangers of isolation. Many people fail not because they lacked talent, but because they tried to do everything alone. Pride whispers, I don't need help. Fear whispers, what if they reject me? Laziness whispers, it's too much work to build a network. But isolation is costly. Alone, your perspective is limited. Alone, discouragement hits harder. Alone, your ideas echo without refinement. The strongest trees in the forest are connected underground by roots. They share nutrients, warn of danger, and support one another. Humans are no different. We thrive when connected. Pause and ask yourself, where am I isolating myself when I should be building alliance? Mastermind energy. There's a mysterious energy in a mastermind group. Call it creativity, call it spirit, call it synergy. When minds meet in harmony, ideas flow that would never appear in solitude. Solutions emerge, motivation rises, faith strengthens. This is why many entrepreneurs credit their breakthroughs not to a solo effort, but to a conversation, a meeting, or a group that lifted their thinking higher. Your assignment for this chapter. This week, take one step toward building your mastermind. Reach out to someone you admire and invite them to lunch. Join a group or community aligned with your purpose. Or simply ask, would you like to meet regularly to share goals and hold each other accountable? Write down at least 2 people who could become part of your mastermind. Then act on it. Closing thoughts. The mastermind principle reminds us that no one climbs alone. Wealth, success, and greatness are team sports. The 10th rule of wealth is this: surround yourself with aligned minds, and your power multiplies beyond measure. Pause and ask yourself, who do I need to walk with in order to reach the summit of my purpose? And before you go, remember, hit like, drop a comment about the kind of mastermind you'd love to build, and subscribe so you won't miss what's ahead. Because in Chapter 11, we'll journey into the unseen dimension of wealth, the subconscious mind. Planting Seeds of Riches, Chapter 11. The subconscious mind. Planting seeds of riches. Picture a farmer standing before a vast field. The soil is fertile, ready to grow anything he plants. If he sows wheat, wheat will grow. If he sows weeds, weeds will grow. The soil does not care. It simply returns what is planted. Your subconscious mind works the same way. It does not question, argue, or judge. It accepts whatever thoughts you repeatedly plant, nurtures them in silence, and eventually returns them as reality. The 11th rule of wealth is this: whatever you plant in your subconscious mind grows in your life. Pause and ask yourself, what have I been planting in my subconscious: riches or poverty, faith or fear? The power of the subconscious. The subconscious mind operates beneath awareness. It influences habits, emotions, intuition, and even physical health. Science shows that up to 95% of our daily behavior is driven by subconscious programming. That means your life today is largely the harvest of yesterday's thoughts. If you've been feeding your mind doubt, scarcity, and negativity, your subconscious has grown those seeds into actions and circumstances that match. But the good news is this: you can change the harvest by changing the seeds. How the subconscious accepts programming. The subconscious does not distinguish between truth and falsehood. It accepts repetition and emotion. That's why affirmations, visualization, and autosuggestion, from Chapter 4, are so powerful. They impress new patterns into your inner mind. For example, if you continually repeat, I am disciplined, I am building wealth, I am capable, your subconscious begins to align your actions with that belief. You start noticing opportunities, making choices, and developing habits consistent with wealth. On the other hand, if you say, I'm always broke, I can't succeed, life is unfair, your subconscious builds evidence to prove those statements true. Pause for reflection. What repeated phrases have I been feeding myself, and are they serving me or sabotaging me? The subconscious and wealth. Wealth is not only about knowledge and effort, it is about identity. You will never consistently outperform your subconscious self-image. If you see yourself as broke, you will sabotage wealth. If you see yourself as unworthy, you will push away opportunities. But when you program your subconscious to see yourself as wealthy, capable, and deserving, your actions naturally follow. That's why lottery winners who suddenly gain millions often lose it within a few years. Their subconscious identity was not programmed for wealth, so they unconsciously return to poverty. True riches must first be rooted in the subconscious mind. Planting seeds of riches. So how do we plant new seeds? 3 practices stand out. Affirmations with emotion. Speak wealth-building statements daily, not robotically, but with passion. Your subconscious responds more strongly to emotion than words alone. Visualization. Imagine your desire as if already achieved. Picture yourself debt-free, traveling, giving generously, or building your dream business. The more vividly you see it, the deeper the seed is planted. Environment. Your surroundings constantly program your subconscious. The books you read, the people you spend time with, the shows you watch, they are all seeds. Choose them wisely. Pause and ask yourself, what seeds am I planting daily through my environment? Stories of the subconscious at work. Arnold Schwarzenegger once said he visualized himself as a world champion long before he ever won. In his mind, he had already achieved it, and his subconscious drove him to make it reality. Jim Carrey carried a $10 million check he wrote to himself in his wallet years before he became a successful actor. That check was a subconscious seed, planted with faith, and eventually harvested in reality. Even ordinary people experience this. Someone who repeats, "I'm always unlucky," finds more bad luck. Someone who repeats, "I attract opportunities," begins to notice doors they once ignored. Clearing negative programming. Most of us carry subconscious programs from childhood. Money is evil. Rich people are greedy. We can't afford that. Be realistic. These beliefs run silently, like background software, shaping our results. But here's the truth. You can uninstall them. Awareness is the first step. Once you recognize a limiting belief, you can replace it with a new seed. For example, replace "money is evil" with "money is a tool for good." Replace "I'm not smart enough" with "I am capable of learning anything I commit to." Over time, the new seeds replace the old harvest. Pause for reflection. What old beliefs about money or success do I need to uproot today? Your assignment for this chapter. Tonight, write down 3 negative beliefs you've carried about money or yourself. Next to each one, write a new empowering belief. Example. Old belief. I'll never be rich. New belief. I am worthy of wealth, and I create value that attracts abundance. Then, commit to repeating your new beliefs daily for 30 days. Watch how your subconscious begins to shift. Closing thoughts. Your subconscious mind is the silent architect of your destiny. It never rests, never questions, never stops working. Whatever you plant, it grows. The 11th rule of wealth is this: feed your subconscious with faith, abundance, and purpose, and it will guide you to riches. Pause and ask yourself, am I ready to take control of my inner programming and plant the seeds of the life I desire? And before you go, don't forget to hit like, share one belief you're replacing in the comments, and subscribe so you won't miss the next chapter. Because in Chapter 12, we'll explore how your mind doesn't just receive ideas, it also broadcasts them. The brain as a broadcasting station, tuning into opportunity. Chapter 12. The brain as a broadcasting station, tuning into opportunity. Imagine standing in a room with hundreds of radio signals swirling around you. Music, news, conversations, all flowing through the air. You cannot hear them until you tune your radio to the right frequency. Once tuned, the signal becomes clear. Your brain works the same way. It is both a receiving set and a broadcasting station. The thoughts you consistently dwell on send out a signal. At the same time, your mind is capable of picking up signals, ideas, inspirations, opportunities that align with the frequency you've chosen. The 12th rule of wealth is this: what you broadcast in thought is what you attract in reality. Pause and ask yourself, what frequency am I tuned to most of the time? Fear or abundance? Broadcasting thoughts. Every thought you repeat is like a radio wave sent into the world. Thoughts of confidence, persistence, and faith broadcast a signal that attracts people and circumstances in harmony with them. Thoughts of doubt, fear, and resentment send out a weaker, repelling signal. Have you ever noticed how certain people seem magnetic? They walk into a room, and opportunities find them. That's not luck. It's the result of the frequency they constantly broadcast through their mindset, words, and energy. Receiving ideas and opportunities. Your brain is not only broadcasting, it is also receiving. New ideas often come in flashes of inspiration, a sudden solution, a creative thought, or a gut feeling. These aren't accidents. They are signals your mind is tuned to receive. When you focus your thoughts on a definite purpose and feed your subconscious with persistence and faith, your brain becomes more sensitive to opportunities connected to that purpose. You start noticing things others overlook. It's like buying a new car and suddenly seeing that model everywhere. Those cars were always there, you just weren't tuned to notice them until your mind focused. Pause for reflection. What opportunities might already be around me that I haven't noticed because my mind isn't tuned to them? The science behind it. Modern neuroscience confirms this idea through something called the reticular activating system, RAS. This network in your brain filters billions of bits of information each day and decides what you notice. It acts like the tuner of a radio. If you constantly think, "I never have enough money," your RAS filters the world to prove you right. But if you program it with, "Opportunities to grow my wealth are everywhere," your RAS begins spotting connections, people, and ideas that move you toward wealth. Your brain doesn't create opportunities, but it tunes your awareness so you can see and act on them. Why tuning matters for wealth. Wealth is not only about hard work. Millions of people work hard every day but remain stuck. The difference is often tuning. If you are tuned to scarcity, you will miss chances. If you are tuned to abundance, you will notice doors where others see only walls. This is why many entrepreneurs say their big break felt like luck. But in truth, it was alignment. Their consistent thoughts had prepared their brain to spot and act on an opportunity others ignored. Pause and ask yourself, what signal am I broadcasting to the world right now? Confidence or doubt? Possibility or limitation? Stories of broadcasting and tuning. Oprah Winfrey often speaks about how intention shaped her career. She broadcasted a signal of authenticity and service, and that frequency attracted opportunities aligned with her mission. Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest inventors in history, claimed that many of his ideas came in sudden flashes of inspiration, signals he believed were in the air, waiting for a tuned mind to receive them. Even everyday examples prove the point. Think of someone who constantly complains about bad luck. They often attract more of it. Meanwhile, those who believe good things are coming seem to stumble into chance encounters, new connections, or lucky breaks. How to tune your brain. Clarify your purpose. A clear goal is like setting your radio dial. Without it, your brain has no idea what to tune for. Feed your mind daily. Read, listen, and surround yourself with input that matches your desired frequency. If you want wealth, study wealth. Practice gratitude. Gratitude shifts your signal. A grateful mind broadcasts abundance, attracting more of it. Guard against negativity. Negative self-talk or toxic environments pull your tuner off frequency. Protect your signal. Pause for reflection. Am I surrounding myself with inputs that strengthen or weaken my signal? Your assignment for this chapter. Take a few minutes tonight to write down the frequency you want your life tuned to. Maybe it's abundance, creativity, service, or freedom. Then write 3 daily practices that will keep you on that frequency. For example, listen to 1 positive podcast each morning. Write 3 things you're grateful for every night. Speak 1 empowering affirmation before every big decision. Do this for 30 days, and you'll notice your awareness sharpening and opportunities appearing. Closing thoughts. Your brain is not just a machine of flesh and neurons. It is a broadcasting station, sending and receiving signals every day. What you choose to broadcast determines what you attract. The 12th rule of wealth is this: tune your mind to abundance, and you'll begin receiving opportunities that others miss. Pause and ask yourself, am I ready to change the station of my thoughts and tune into the frequency of wealth? And before you go, don't forget to hit like, share your new frequency in the comments, and subscribe so you won't miss the next chapter. Because in Chapter 13, we'll go deeper into the mysterious realm where intuition meets wealth. The sixth sense, intuition, the silent wealth builder. Chapter 13, the sixth sense, intuition, the silent wealth builder. There are moments in life when logic pauses, and a whisper deep inside tells you what to do. A sudden sense to call someone. An unexplainable pull toward an opportunity. A quiet nudge that says, "This is the way." That is intuition, the sixth sense. It cannot be measured on charts or explained by equations, yet some of the most successful people in history swear by it. They describe it as an invisible guide, a knowing beyond reason. The 13th rule of wealth is this: intuition often sees what logic cannot, if you're willing to listen. Pause and ask yourself, when was the last time I ignored my gut and later wished I hadn't? What is the sixth sense? The sixth sense is not magic. It is the culmination of your subconscious mind, your experiences, your knowledge, and perhaps something greater, the universal intelligence that connects us all. Think of it as a bridge between conscious thought and the unseen. Your five senses gather data from the outside world. Your sixth sense gathers signals from the inside world and, at times, from beyond yourself. Why intuition matters in wealth. Wealth requires more than spreadsheets and calculations. Yes, numbers matter. But often the most life-changing decisions cannot be fully proven at the time. An investor senses a company will grow before the market believes. An entrepreneur feels a new product will succeed, despite critics. A leader makes a bold move, guided not by data alone but by instinct. Logic calculates risk. Intuition whispers possibility. The wisest decisions often require both. Pause for reflection. Am I relying only on logic, or am I open to the subtle guidance of intuition? Training the sixth sense. Sixth, like a muscle, intuition strengthens with use. Here are 3 practices to cultivate it. Quiet the noise. Intuition speaks softly. In a world of constant distraction, you must create silence through meditation, journaling, or simply unplugging. Reflect on past intuition. Think back to times when your gut was right. Remember how it felt. This builds trust in your inner signals. Act on small nudges. Start with minor decisions. Follow your intuition on daily choices. Over time, your confidence in listening will grow. Pause and ask yourself, how often do I give myself space to hear my inner voice? Stories of intuition in action. Steve Jobs once said, "Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become." His intuition guided not only his product choices but his life decisions. Albert Einstein called intuition the sacred gift, suggesting it often sees truths before intellect can catch up. Even everyday people experience it. A parent suddenly feels the need to check on a child and prevents harm. A professional senses a deal is wrong and avoids disaster. These aren't coincidences. They are the sixth sense at work. Fear versus intuition. One challenge is distinguishing fear from intuition. Fear screams. Intuition whispers. Fear paralyzes. Intuition nudges forward. Fear imagines the worst. Intuition quietly points to the best path. A practical way to tell the difference is this: fear feels heavy and constricting, while intuition feels light, clear, and calm, even when it suggests something bold. Pause for reflection. Am I letting fear disguise itself as wisdom in my life? Intuition and the subconscious. Earlier, we learned that the subconscious mind shapes our reality. Intuition is often the voice of the subconscious rising to awareness. It gathers patterns and insights we didn't consciously process and delivers them as a feeling. That's why intuition strengthens when you feed your subconscious positive input books, mentors, affirmations. The cleaner the soil, the healthier the signals that rise. Balancing logic and intuition. The most successful people don't ignore logic. They balance it with intuition. Data provides the map. Intuition senses the weather. Both are needed for safe travel. For example, an investor may analyze numbers, but the final decision often comes from a gut sense. An entrepreneur may study the market, but their leap is fueled by intuition. You don't need to choose between logic and intuition. You need both. Your assignment for this chapter. This week, practice listening to your intuition. Here's how. Each morning, spend 5 minutes in silence. Ask yourself one question about your goal. For example, what's the next step I should take? Write down the first thought or feeling that comes without judgment. Test it. Take a small action in that direction. Keep a journal of these nudges. Over time, you'll notice patterns and build trust in your sixth sense. Closing thoughts. Intuition is the silent wealth builder. It whispers guidance that logic cannot see. The 13th rule of wealth is this. When you learn to trust your sixth sense, you unlock a compass that points toward opportunity, safety, and abundance. Pause and ask yourself one final question. Am I willing to listen more closely to the quiet signals within me? And before you leave, don't forget. Hit like, share a moment when intuition guided you in the comments, and subscribe so you won't miss the next chapter. Because in Chapter 14, we'll face the greatest obstacle of all, overcoming fear, the greatest obstacle to riches. Chapter 14, Overcoming Fear, the greatest obstacle to riches. Picture a young bird standing at the edge of its nest. Its wings are strong enough. The air is ready to carry it. The sky is open and waiting. Yet the bird hesitates, trembling at the thought of falling. Fear holds it back from flight. We humans are no different. Many of us stand at the edge of opportunity, ready, capable, equipped, yet paralyzed by fear. Fear whispers louder than dreams. Fear chains more people to poverty than lack of knowledge, resources, or opportunity ever could. The 14th rule of wealth is this. Fear is the greatest obstacle to riches, and it must be mastered, not avoided. Pause and ask yourself, what fear has been holding me at the edge of my own nest? The many faces of fear. Fear is a shapeshifter. It doesn't always scream terror. Often it hides behind excuses. Fear of poverty. I can't risk it. What if I lose everything? Fear of criticism. What will people think if I fail? Fear of rejection. I'm not good enough to try. Fear of failure. Better not start than fail publicly. Fear of success. What if I can't handle it once I get there? Each fear disguises itself as reason, but underneath, it is still fear. Pause for reflection. Pause for, which of these fears whispers most often in my ear? Fear as an illusion. Here's the liberating truth. Fear is rarely real. Most fears exist only in the imagination. Studies show over 90% of the things people worry about never happen. Fear is like a shadow, big and frightening, but powerless when faced with light. Think of your past. How many times did fear warn you of disaster that never came? How often did life turn out better than your worst-case scenario? Fear is a liar. The sooner you expose it, the sooner you fly. Why fear kills wealth. Wealth requires boldness. You must take calculated risks, try new things, and step beyond comfort zones. Fear freezes all of that. Fear makes people cling to safe but unfulfilling jobs. Fear makes investors sell at the worst time. Fear makes dreamers bury their ideas in the ground. The wealthy are not fearless. They simply act despite fear. They feel the tremble in their stomach, but they step forward anyway. Pause and ask yourself, am I waiting for fear to disappear before I act? Or am I willing to move forward while afraid? Mastering fear. You cannot eliminate fear, but you can master it. Here are 3 steps. Name it. Fear grows in silence. Write down your fear clearly. When named, it loses half its power. Challenge it. Ask, is this fear fact or assumption? Most fears collapse under scrutiny. Act. Anyway, the cure for fear is action. Small steps prove to your mind that the fear is survivable. Each action builds confidence, shrinking the fear. Stories of courage over fear. Think of Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her seat despite fear of punishment. Her single act of courage ignited a movement. Or Elon Musk, who risked his fortune on rockets that failed multiple times before finally succeeding. Had fear ruled him, space travel would not be where it is today. Even in smaller ways, ordinary people overcome fear daily. A parent starting a side hustle, a student raising their hand, an employee asking for a raise. Each act of courage chips away at fear's control. Fear and the subconscious. Fear often lives in the subconscious, rooted in old programming. Childhood warnings, past failures, cultural beliefs. These old scripts whisper, stay safe. Don't risk it. Don't dream too big. But just as we learned in earlier chapters, the subconscious can be reprogrammed. Feed it affirmations of courage. Surround it with examples of bravery. Train it with repeated acts of action. Over time, the fear fades and faith grows. Pause for reflection. What early belief about money or success planted fear in me, and am I ready to replace it? The hidden fear of success. Surprisingly, one of the greatest fears is not failure, but success. People worry, if I succeed, will others envy me? If I get rich, will I lose friends? If I achieve more, can I handle the responsibility? These fears keep many people stuck in mediocrity. But remember, success doesn't destroy who you are. It amplifies it. If you are generous poor, you'll be generous rich. If you are humble poor, you'll be humble rich. Success simply reveals, not replaces. Your assignment for this chapter. Take out a sheet of paper and write. The fear I must overcome to reach my next level is... Fill in the blank. Then, beneath it, write one small action you can take this week despite the fear. Don't wait for courage to arrive, create it by moving. For example, if you fear rejection, make one bold request this week. If you fear failure, launch one small test of your idea. If you fear judgment, share one dream publicly. Closing thoughts. Fear is natural, but it is not your master. The 14th rule of wealth is this. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward in spite of it. Pause and ask yourself, what life awaits me on the other side of fear, and will I choose to step into it? And before you leave, remember, like this video, share one fear you're ready to overcome in the comments, and subscribe so you won't miss the final 2 chapters of this journey. Because in Chapter 15, we'll explore how setbacks can become stepping stones. Transforming failure into fortune, lessons from setbacks. Chapter 15. Transforming failure into fortune, lessons from setbacks. Picture a child learning to walk. She takes her first step, wobbles, and falls. Does she give up? No. She pulls herself up and tries again. Step, stumble, fall, again and again. Until one day, the steps turn into strides, and the child walks with ease. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the path to it. Every fortune, every breakthrough, every triumph has been paved with setbacks. The only people who never fail are those who never try. The 15th rule of wealth is this. Failure is a teacher in disguise, and its lessons are priceless. Pause and ask yourself, do I see failure as a dead end or as a stepping stone? Why failure matters. Failure feels painful, but it serves a purpose. It reveals what doesn't work. It exposes blind spots. It tests persistence. Without failure, growth is shallow. Thomas Edison famously said, "Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up." He didn't just tolerate failure, he embraced it as feedback. Failure as feedback. Think of failure as a compass. When something doesn't work, it points you toward a better way. Each failed attempt sharpens your knowledge and resilience. Entrepreneurs call this failing forward. Instead of letting setbacks stop them, they use each one as a lesson that accelerates progress. Pause for reflection. What recent setback could I reframe as feedback? What lesson might it be teaching me? Why most people fear failure? Most people don't fear failure itself. They fear the meaning they attach to it. They believe failure means, "I'm not good enough. Others will laugh at me. This proves I should quit." But failure doesn't define you. It refines you. It is evidence that you are in the arena, not on the sidelines. The only true failure is refusing to rise again. Stories of failure turned to fortune. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. His first company went bankrupt. Today, his imagination entertains millions. Abraham Lincoln lost multiple elections before becoming one of the most revered U.S. presidents. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. He later said, "I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Each story reminds us, setbacks are not signals to quit, they are invitations to grow. Pause for reflection. What success story could my current failure become if I refuse to quit? Wealth and failure. In money and business, failure is inevitable. Investments won't always work. Products will flop. Plans will crumble. But wealth builders don't see these as final. They see them as tuition. Every failed investment teaches risk management. Every business setback teaches adaptation. Every rejection toughens resilience. Failure is the tuition fee for the school of wealth. The key is to pay attention and learn the lesson. Turning pain into power. When failure strikes, you have two choices: shrink or grow. Shrinkage leads to bitterness, blame, and excuses. Growth leads to wisdom, humility, and persistence. Ask yourself after every failure, what can I learn? How can I adapt? What will I do differently next time? This mindset turns pain into power. Failure and identity. One danger is letting failure attach to identity. Saying, "I failed" is different from saying, "I am a failure." One is temporary, the other is permanent. Separate the event from your identity. Failure is something you experienced, not something you are. Pause for reflection. Have I been labeling myself as a failure instead of simply acknowledging a failed attempt? How to build resilience through failure. Expect it. Anticipate that setbacks will come. When they do, you won't be shocked. Normalize it. Surround yourself with people who see failure as normal, not shameful. Document lessons. Keep a failure journal where you record what went wrong and what you learned. Celebrate attempts. Even when results don't come, celebrate the courage to try. Resilience is not avoiding failure. It is mastering recovery. Your assignment for this chapter. This week, write down one failure you've been carrying with shame. Then, reframe it by answering, what lesson did it teach me? How did it prepare me for future success? What strength did I gain because of it? Then, make a commitment. Turn that failure into fuel by taking one new action based on the lesson learned. Closing thoughts. Failure is not the end of your story. It is a chapter that makes the victory richer. The 15th rule of wealth is this: failure becomes fortune when you mine its lessons and keep moving. Pause and ask yourself, what treasure lies hidden in my setbacks, waiting for me to dig it out? And before you go, don't forget, like this video, share one failure that taught you something valuable in the comments, and subscribe so you'll be ready for the grand finale. Because in Chapter 16, we'll bring it all together with the ultimate truth. Living rich beyond money, the true meaning of success. Chapter 16. Living Rich Beyond Money. The True Meaning of Success. Close your eyes and imagine this. You've achieved every financial goal you once dreamed of. The debts are gone. The bank account is full. The home, the car, the freedom, all yours. Now pause. Ask yourself, what does it all mean if you are lonely, bitter, or empty inside? The journey of wealth is about more than money. True success is living rich in every sense, rich in relationships, purpose, health, joy, and contribution. The 16th and final rule of wealth is this: money is a tool, not the destination. Real success is a life fully lived. Pause and ask yourself, am I chasing money, or am I building a life that feels truly rich? The limits of money. Money can buy comfort, freedom, and opportunity. It can solve problems and open doors. But money cannot buy meaning. It cannot purchase genuine love, authentic friendships, or peace of mind. History is filled with people who gained fortunes, yet lost themselves. Celebrities, tycoons, leaders who reached the top only to discover emptiness there. Their wealth magnified what was already inside. Money reveals character. It is not the end of the journey, it is the amplifier of the journey. Redefining riches. So what does it mean to live rich beyond money? It means measuring wealth in broader ways. Time freedom. The ability to spend your days as you choose. Relationships. Family, friends, and community that bring joy. Health. Energy and vitality to enjoy life. Purpose. A sense that your life matters, that your work serves something greater. Legacy. The impact you leave long after you're gone. This is true abundance. Pause for reflection. If I had all the money I wanted, what would I still need to feel truly fulfilled? Money as a servant, not a master. When money is your master, it enslaves you. You chase it endlessly, sacrificing health, relationships, and peace. But when money becomes your servant, it empowers you. It funds dreams, supports causes, and multiplies joy. The shift is subtle, but life-changing. Stop asking, how can I get more money? And start asking, how can I use money to serve my purpose and others? Stories of true wealth. Consider Andrew Carnegie. One of the richest men in history, he spent his later years giving away over 90% of his fortune, building libraries and institutions that still serve society today. Or Mother Teresa, who had little money but lived richly in service. Her legacy continues to inspire millions. Even everyday people embody true wealth: a teacher shaping young lives, a parent building a loving home, a small business owner serving their community. Richness is not measured only in numbers, but in meaning. The balance of having and being wealth is about balance. Strive for financial freedom, yes. Build abundance, absolutely. But never forget that being matters as much as having. Ask yourself, am I becoming the kind of person I would admire? Am I using my wealth to lift others? Am I rich in love, gratitude, and joy, not just in dollars? Pause and reflect. What part of my life feels wealthy right now, and what part needs more attention? Building a legacy. Money fades. Buildings crumble. Markets shift. But the lives you touch remain forever. Your legacy is not the size of your bank account. It is the ripple effect of your character, kindness, and contribution. When people remember you, will they say, they had money? Or will they say, they made a difference? True wealth leaves footprints in human hearts. Practices for living rich beyond money. Daily gratitude. Begin and end each day by naming what you're thankful for. Gratitude turns ordinary moments into riches. Invest in relationships. Schedule time for family, friends, and mentors. Wealth without love is poverty. Serve others. Give generously, whether money, time, or kindness. Service multiplies your sense of purpose. Nurture health. Guard your body and mind. Energy is wealth you can't buy back once lost. Keep growing. Continue learning, dreaming, and expanding. True wealth is a lifelong journey. Pause for reflection. Which of these practices do I need to strengthen in my own life right now? Your assignment for this chapter. Write down your personal definition of wealth. Not society's, not the world's, but yours. Include both money and non-money measures. Time, love, health, purpose, freedom. Then, create a simple plan for aligning your money with your values. Ask, how can my financial goals serve my deeper life goals? Closing thoughts. And so we arrive at the end of this journey. We have explored desire, faith, purpose, planning, persistence, imagination, and more. But all of these principles lead to this truth. Money is important, but it is not ultimate. True success is living a life you are proud of, rich in meaning, relationships, and contribution. The 16th rule of wealth is this: live richly in every sense, and money will simply become one more expression of your abundance. Pause and ask yourself one last question. When my life is complete, will I have lived not just with money, but with meaning? And before you leave, I invite you, like this video if it inspired you, share your personal definition of wealth in the comments, and subscribe so you can continue growing on this journey of success and fulfillment. Because this is not the end, it is the beginning of your new, richer life.